Okay, by Microsoft, we're at 8:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good to see a good group here today, so I hope everybody gets a chance to say their pieces and listen and ask us questions. All right, so Pat, you want to do the roll call?
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Floral?
Here.
Mr. Hardeman?
Here.
Mr. Horn?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here?
Mrs. Storr? Mr. Chairman, we have 6 board members present, therefore we do have a quorum.
Okay. All right, we're going to start off with Jonathan. You want to go through the treasurer's report, or I'm sorry, the financial reports?
All right, so for the period ended February 29, 2024, the sewer operations had a little bit under budget on the revenue, mainly, again, sewer taps, timing, weather, all that plays into factor. You notice we had a larger than favorable budget last month with in regard to expenses. A lot of that was utilities, which were recognized in this month, so it evened out. We're still favorable to budget by 4.5 thousand. Net surplus is at 94.6K right now. We're unfavorable by 3. That again is the revenue. We expect that to change. In the POA and amenities, the revenue is 2.2 million. It's unfavorable to budget by 42K. Big portion of that is grant revenue money from the police department, and of course we never know when grants are going to come in. We have to budget for a certain month, but unfortunately this month it did not. In the month of February it did not come in. Cost of sales was a little bit higher. Products are still more than we anticipated, and then expenses were favorable to budget by about 87. So the net subsidy was 704. Favorable to budget by 73K. So we are still favorable to budget. Reserve funds stand at 5.8, operating at 1.8, and capital at 5.13. So.
Are there any questions?
Jonathan, I'd like to get a copy of the fund allocation. We haven't seen that for a while.
All right. What's in the?
If you could send that to the board.
No problem.
Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. Let's be sure we got all the questions up here first, Nico, and then we'll let you go, okay? Anybody else up here? Nico. And please remember, I've gotten some feedback last month from the last month's meeting that people were not stating who they were and coming up to the microphone. So what we're not going to do anymore is allow you to talk from your seat. You're going to have to come up here. That's not so much for us, but there's a lot of people that are watching, and if you're not up at the microphone and they can't see you, they don't know what you're saying, okay?
Nico Sergio, community club member since April of 2005. In the future, could you put page numbers on the finance report?
Yeah.
And when you go through the discussion, could you tell us what page you're on? Because you went through it kind of fast, and I couldn't keep up with you.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, Tom.
Tom Ratcliffe. Last month, I had a question for you regarding open positions. You were going to get back to me, and I haven't heard anything in this report.
Obviously, the 2 biggest open positions currently are the Director of Finance and the General Manager. There are several other small positions, but not really, the crux of it is the 2 large positions.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Amber, are you here? I thought I saw her. Yeah. Can we make sure for next month we have a little summary of that? Okay, thank you. All right. Anybody else? All right. Bruce Evans.
Good morning. Is it on? Yeah. Good morning. Lake Catherine Meadowview odor control update. There is nothing to update right now. The chemical is still sitting at the Lake Catherine pump station. I'm waiting on the vendor to recover from shoulder surgery before we schedule a time to load up the chemical and move it over to London Court. So there's been nothing to, no change. I have not been called by Sue, who was instructed to call me anytime there was an odor complaint. So I'm not quite sure if that means that the odors are at least have been reduced, or Sue just doesn't bother calling me. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I suspect that the odors have been reduced. So the Lake Catherine Pump Station is working very well. With just under 17 inches of rain since the 1st of January, we've had 0 incidences of diesel pump operations, which would have, basically last year would have been probably 3 or 4 or 5 at this point with that much rain. So the Lake Catherine Pump Station force main redirect has improved the efficiency of the collection system significantly. That's about it. Any questions on my report? No overflows.
Any questions? Okay. All right. Mary Jo, our Director of Marketing. She'll take a little longer to get up here than normally. It's had nothing to do with the rehearsal for this presentation.
Hello, everyone. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure to meet, I'm Mary Jo Page, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Events here at Fairfield. I've had the pleasure of working here almost 11 years now, and I want to just tell you, this is such an easy sell for me. I'm very energized right now. I'm going to share with you some things that I recently attended. We were at a golf show. It's just so awesome to go out into the world and have people go, Fairfield Glade, I've played that golf course. So it's a pleasure to be here. I moved here from Florida. I'm considered a halfback. I'm from Chicago originally. And it's a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me and inviting me. I appreciate that. Okay, I think most of you know Now the Fun Begins is our positioning statement, and we developed that 11 years ago to really address all these amazing amenities that we have, because it is really a very different kind of lifestyle for people because of all that we have to offer. Okay, I knew it. Here we go. I'm tech challenged. Okay. Our external marketing objective, when I first got here, I was tasked with increasing the number of visitors to come to Fairfield Glade. And the reason that we do that is we're trying to generate revenue in the community, which keeps your costs lower. And also, these visitors, we are able to convert those people to residents in many, many cases. The Department of Tourism now has Retire Tennessee under their umbrella for that very reason. Retire Tennessee also understands, get them here as visitors, we can then convert them as residents. And I have a really cool example for you. We've been booking this golf package for several years now with 19 golfers. They're from Illinois, and 4 of them now are residents. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about golf here. Last year we had the highest number of rounds since 2011, and I think most of you know that. We started doing golf packages out of the division that I'm responsible for a few years ago, and last year we generated $115,000 in golf revenue, which is pretty amazing. We do golf packages, stay and play visits, and corporate events, and those have generated over $300,000 in gross revenue for Fairfield Glade. See why I'm excited? Okay, we just got back from the Novi, Michigan Golf Show, which was amazing. I haven't been to that show since before COVID in 2019, and I did it with Retire Tennessee in the past. The state wasn't participating this year, but Kim Toth and I, who does a lot of the golf packages, went to this show. It was incredible. Over 30,000 people. It was over 3 days. We do gift basket registrations. I had over 750 or 705 of those. I'll show you some pictures too. Look at those crowds. And what was really awesome is normally at golf shows, you mostly get people asking about golf packages, and I had over 20 people, I stopped counting, asking me about moving to Fairfield Glade. They were familiar with Fairfield Glade, asking about the lifestyle of Tennessee. So it was definitely worth our effort. Kim was actually calling Central Tee Times from our booth, trying to book golf packages for people. So that was really exciting. Michiganders love Fairfield. They knew all the photos. We were actually in the Michigan Golf Show program. We were on the back page of the cover of that, or the back cover of that. These were our basket winners. When I do these shows, I love to bring these Made in Tennessee baskets, which usually include a golf package, and then also all these things Tennessee, like Jack Daniels, Boone shine, things like that. It gets people coming over to talk to us for sure. In addition to, we promoted, I'm doing some things with golftrips.com, which is covering 50 states, but they helped us promote the Novi Michigan Golf Show on the Michigan Golf Trips website. We actually included our booth numbers so people would know where to find us, because it was a huge show. We sent e-blasts to previous attendees from the shows. We did Facebook advertising. As you all know, we've got a lot of Michiganders that live here, and so we were encouraging them to talk to their friends in Michigan and have them come and see us. This show, by the way, wasn't just Michigan. We saw a lot of people from Ohio as well. Okay, I'll talk to you a little bit more about some of the other marketing things we're doing. This year I got involved in the Wisconsin Golf Trail brochure. As you can see, the numbers are pretty significant. They're distributed at all the Midwest golf shows, the golf courses, facilities, and CVBs. And CVBs are Convention and Visitors Bureaus, viewed by over 50,000 annual visitors. This was the ad that we did. I got lots of ads to show you. And as I said, Golf Trips, I started working with these folks a few years ago, and I was in about 14 states promoting Fairfield Glade. This year we're doing all 50 states, and they're actually letting me do some messaging for retirement moving to Fairfield Glade. So in California specifically, because we're seeing more people in California moving here, we're going to be doing some marketing programs in that arena. This is what the website looks like. These are some of the ads that we do. We're also targeting Florida. As I mentioned to you, I'm from Florida and I'm a halfback, and there's definitely an audience for that for sure. And so one of the areas that we've got a huge database for Florida, and during hurricane season, I do special emphasis on that because everyone starts getting nervous. Trust me, I lived there for almost 30 years. Around May, everyone's going, oh, here we go. So we did some things with Florida. I love those headlines. These are banner ads and ads that go on Golf Trips. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about the golf capital of Tennessee. As you all know, Crossville is branded that way, thank goodness, and it's branded that way primarily because of our golf courses. We have 5 of the, I think now we have 8 that are open with Deer Creek opening. The CVB is the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I'm on that board. In fact, I'm chair of that board this year. Since I've been here, they've always used promotion on the Vol Network Radio and Let's Golf Network. Let's Golf Network is at all of those shows distributing things about Fairfield Glade and also about Crossville. Then they do additional guide distribution at those other shows. So I think it's a total of about 13 shows. I took this picture because this is Let's Golf, and they were caddy corner from our booth. And if you can see the Crossville banner, it says Crossville Golf Capital of Tennessee. And look at that, a Steve Kraft photo of Stonehenge. So that was pretty exciting too. And we get all these leads from them. I'm also in golf, we're advertising in Golf Central magazine. I've been doing a 4-color ad in there. The publisher is also wonderful, does a lot of free editorial for us when we can, trying to maximize our budget as best as we can. The Tennessee Vacation Guide, we were never in this publication until I started working here. We weren't really positioned as a tourism entity, and the reason we do that, again, is to generate visitors. And I just want everyone to understand the rationale behind that, because if we get visitors coming here, they're spending money here, and that's keeping your costs lower, and we've got a really good opportunity to convert some of those people, a lot of those people actually. We've grown in the last decade 32%, so that's pretty significant. And and also on that slide you can see Crossville Chamber also does a vertical ad adjacent to us. And then we have listings for Fairfield Glade overall and each of our golf courses in the Tennessee Vacation Guide. And that's distributed in print as well as digital. The Chamber, we're very active with the Chamber. That's a partnership I've just so enjoyed. They're wonderful. It's a great partnership. We do a trifold ad in their lifestyle magazine, which comes out every 2 years, and that's distributed all over the place too. So a lot of new people that are thinking about moving to Cumberland County get those magazines. And the UCTA, that's the Upper Cumberland Tourism Association, they also do a magazine that covers 14 counties in Tennessee, and we're also involved in that. And then more recently, I got involved with Fairfield Life magazine last year because they did this huge article on the golf capital of Tennessee and approached me. I mean, it was like several pages, and approached me about running an ad. And we're also focused in on corporate event business to try to generate more revenue here as well. So we did more of a corporate event message in that magazine because many business owners live in Farragut. Two of the Flat Rock guys that I know, they both live in Farragut. So we're going to do some more things with Farragut Life. I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing with them. The Villages. Has anybody been to the Villages before? Okay. It's quite an interesting place, and you either love it or you hate it. And what I learned early on is there were couples that moved there where maybe one of them didn't really like it so much, but the other one did, and they decided that they needed to move, and this was a good place to come, halfway there. So we do a heavy promotion in the Villages. I've done travel shows there. The Florida insurance cost right now is killing people that have lived there for a long time, and that's driving a lot of people out of Florida and into Tennessee. So that's the way I view it. That's an opportunity for us. I still love Florida, but. Okay, the Tennessee Women's Open and the Senior Men's Open. Jeff and I had the pleasure of having a meeting last week with the Tennessee PGA and the Tennessee Golf Association. And we're going to be partnering with them heavily this year to promote both of these tournaments. And there's so much opportunity to get exposure with both of these. These are high-profile events that I think with the right marketing and promotion and support, we can do some really cool things with. I've already secured free editorial through Golf Central, which covers the entire Southeast for golf. Golftrips.com, they're actually coming here for a visit. They're going to be shooting video footage. They're going to be interviewing our golf pros. So we'll be able to do some stories about the Women's Open and that too. And I'm sure much, much more to come. Fairfield Life already has those events on their website, so they're promoting that. And Steve Kraft was very generous in sharing photography with them as well. So we've got some really beautiful Stonehenge photography, so that helps us too. The other part of the equation with the marketing program is our internal marketing, and that is basically telling all of you about all the things that are wonderful here in Fairfield Glade and all the activities that are going on. One of the objectives we have too is with the new residents, providing education for them. I know I talked to a couple of people earlier that you may not be plugged in exactly the way you need to be to get information, and we feel like these are some good venues to actually get information out to people. So we've been doing new resident events, but this new one that we started this year with Russ, they're smaller, intimate groups of people. We kind of make it a fun trivia game so they can learn things about Fairfield Glade. All of the division managers are there, so you can stop anything you ever wanted to know about a grinder pump. You go to Bruce and he can fill you in on that. And it was very well received, and we had some people that were brand spanking new residents. The Community Information Fair, we've done that now for a few years, and we do that twice a year, and it's got the same basic goal. It's actually open to the entire community. It's not just a special invite. And what surprised me at this last one is, again, the number of new residents that came that I was able to talk to. One couple, 3 weeks, they were only here 3 weeks, and they were really anxious to get information. So we're working harder to try to get good information out to people so that they can make good decisions. We were talking a little earlier, I was talking with these ladies here, and earlier on in the process, what we're trying to do with marketing with the realtors is making sure that people know what they're buying into. We've got these login cards that are now on our website, temporary logins for the member side of the website, so that people can look at the CNRs and know what the HOA is. They can look at our financials, and we're proud of that. So we just want people to be educated. I met with a couple the chamber brought out this week from Connecticut, and they were at one of the Ideal Living shows. That's where they met them. And we went through that whole process, and they said, thank you, that really makes sense, because the guy was a researcher, and I knew that. So it was really good for me to share that information with them, and I think that's important, because we want people that know what they're buying into and are happy with their decisions. Okay, these are just some fun facts I wanted to share with you guys. Every year at the end of the year, we track everything in this building. And every year, at the end of the year, we sit down with our team members and we talk about what happened in the last year. And even the people that are like at the front desk answering the phone are blown away by these numbers. Now, I am the director of marketing and events, but there's several other areas that fall under our division. The center is in that division. Our pools, the outdoor pools are in the division. The library building, the mini golf area, and the parks, those are all under our division. Can you believe the number of people that came through here last year? That's over 100,000 people came through this building last year. We have almost 5,000 phone calls coming through here per month. The room usage has skyrocketed. When I first got here, we really didn't do corporate events at all. So it's meeting space with our team members too, but it's corporate events as well. The center pool, 40,000 people, and I think about 10,000 of those are here this week because it's been really, really busy. Druid Hills Family Pool, 8,200, Dorchester, 6,000. Even pickleball in this building. I mean, look at those numbers. It's exciting, right? And pickleball, I want to tell you all, I'm not just totally focused on golf. Pickleball comes up in every conversation I have with people. Even at the golf show, people were asking me about pickleball. So we're definitely, that is on our radar. We're running out of court time. It's just so popular. So that's going to be something that we continue to promote as well. And we're proud of our facilities, so that's exciting to be able to talk to people about that. Center Trackman, 801 visits. The library, who would think that 14,000 books would be checked out of our library? It's crazy. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you so that you could see, you know, some of the things we're up to. It's a busy place, but it's a fun place. And Now the Fun Begins, I think, is perfectly suited for Fairfield Glade. Does anyone have questions of me? No? Wow, easy crowd. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mary
for
Jo.
having me.
Okay, Russ.
Good morning. I just want to update you on a few items since the last time we met. In the area of golf, I know Jeff's excited that the turf grass is starting to get established on our putting course, so that's an exciting update. Also, Jeff just got back last night. He took 3 of his assistants to the Landings Club in Savannah. That was a benchmarking trip, something we talked about in terms of his own development, growth, and education. And I'm eager to hear about that a little bit later, but I think that'll be a good opportunity for both him and our team to help grow. That's a course that has 5 or 6 golf courses, very similar to ours. The structure's a little bit different, but it's still a good learning opportunity, so hopefully that'll be something that we can learn from. I want to echo what Mary Jo said about the Meet the Team events. I think that's been very well received, thanks to her and the SMT team for leading that charge, and the community fair event was also well received. We had residents here at the Meet the Team events from Michigan, Illinois, Texas, Massachusetts, Tennessee, and many other places. So it's kind of amazing how many people come here from different parts of the country and settle in Tennessee. A couple other things I'll mention to you. Our communications part-time manager has started. Her name is Shannon Turner. If you have not yet met her, she's working part-time in communications and part-time in training. And she's off to a very good start. She's working closely with the SMT team to help to integrate those communications. Her initial goals are consistency of communications, monitor and manage the frequency of the communications because we were sending too many out in the past, and she's also a gatekeeper. So those are the 3 initial goals. There's a lot of other things over time that hopefully she'll get into, but we have to grow this very methodically. So one of the things Mary Jo mentioned is she's got a great opportunity to work with the team on helping to promote the Senior Open and the Women's Open coming up. You'll hear more about that, I'm sure, from Jeff and her and Mary Jo in the future, but there's going to be opportunities for volunteers, raising the profile of the event, media opportunities, and also hopefully that'll become a bigger point of pride within the community. It's been a great event for many years, but hopefully we can raise that even higher as we go forward. I've also shared some education that I went to recently at a Club Management Association event in Vegas, and I shared some of that with our team and also with Greg Jones. Items such as leadership and governance. There's always more to learn and things we can hopefully draw from that we can implement here that can improve our structure going forward. And the other benefit is our new AV system. Bob has enjoyed that. And for the folks at home that are watching, hopefully you're getting a crisper picture, and better sound system, and less interference. So that's been a good development. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Okay. We'll move into our capital authorization requests, CARs as we call them. Bruce Evans.
So this morning, I'm presenting a car for $500,000, actually $486,550 for a $500,000 project. $13,450 was previously approved for engineering and permitting from TDEC. This is to redirect the force main coming out of our Oak Knoll pump station, which currently discharges to Rebel Run pump station. And this will bypass the Rebel Run pump station and pump it down Westchester Drive all the way to the treatment plant. So we'll save significantly on electrical costs at Rebel Run as well as operational costs. So it's part of the 10-year master plan. It's the second major capital project listed in the 10-year master plan, and the design and permitting is done by Fields Engineering. The contractor will be advertised. Any questions?
Okay. Jonathan.
Yes. So we are requesting $143,396 for the reserve capital projects that we have on tap for the club. And a total description of those are listed in the car. There are several projects that we are taking on, and included in those are, sorry, I'm just getting my list out. There's an audio-visual replacement for the center, was a Stonehenge bathroom, restrooms at Stonehenge for $85, and other projects which are listed, supposedly happened in Q1 and Q2, so we're covering the both periods so that the projects can get underway and finished in an expedited manner.
This is part of the conversation that we've had for a while now with the reserve study, and this is the first 2 quarters of what we're presenting for 2024. There will be other presentations for other projects as we move through the year. One of the things I think we've said before, and if not, I'll say it now, is that when we got into the reserve study, we saw that some of this was going to be O&M and some of it was capital. The initial assumption was it was all capital. That turned out not to be true. So now we're going through with a lot finer comb to make sure that we have them correctly classified, because it takes different votes and different movements of funds depending on whether it's an O&M or capital expense. So what Jonathan's talking about now are the capital expenses. And you want to go through a little bit about what we're doing on the O&M side?
On the O&M side, we have about $125,000 worth of projects planned. $30,000 of that is the center asphalt paving in the lot here at the center. $5,000 of it is the clay tennis courts repairs at the racket center. $10,000 of that is the cart barn exterior paint and repair. $20,000 is the golf course irrigation system repairs on Heatherhurst. $15,000 of that is the St. George Marina bathroom renovation allowance. $15,000 of that is also the mini golf carpet at the mini golf, and other mini golf improvements. And $15,000 of that is the asphalt repairs on the walking paths. So that comes to $125,000.
So as you can see, those projects are really kind of like maintenance kinds of things that we should have been doing for a while. And now we're getting them formally put in. So there'll be a different set of them for Q3 and 4. And we'll keep rolling that over until we can get through the whole reserve study and get it recalibrated in terms of where these funds are coming out of, which are going to be O&M, which are going to be capital, and also which year they really need to be done. The people that did the reserve study really couldn't say exactly what year, and that's why we've had people like Sam and Jonathan, Bruce Horn, others, Jeff, I think, Mary Jo, you've participated in some of that as well. That's why we've been having them go through this, because we really got to get this right. And that's why I know there's some frustration about, well, why can't I see the reserve study? This is not that we don't want you to see it. We want you to see it when we get it corrected. So this is going to take a little time, but the time is well spent because we're going through and making sure we're doing the right maintenance items at the right time. So the board will be talking a lot more about this afternoon, because we got to take a look at projections for capital and other things as well. Tom?
Tom Ratcliffe, can you, I know you're still going through this, but, you know, for us layman, non-financial people, you give us this cash flow from operations statement. How does this all affect these statements? Because all we see is a net number for each category. You know, so can you walk us through that at some point, near term versus far, long term? And then number two, when you're pointing this out in terms of these cars, can you help us understand how that affects the balance sheet and these reserve numbers that are down here, so we know where it's coming from? All due respect, we're not accountants.
I understand.
Okay.
And in regards to that, that is something that Greg just mentioned. That's on the discussion for this afternoon, to be full of the capital projection for the next 5 years.
Thank you.
There was one other car, some of you that looked at the packages earlier, there was one that we had in there for North Star website refresh. We pulled that one because there were some more questions that we had, and so we're not going to be acting on that one at this month. We're going to wait and see until we get our questions answered of where we're going to go with it, okay? All right. Major capital projects, Bruce? Cox?
So you gotta get that right.
Yeah, I know, there's too many Bruces here.
On Druid, the putting course and the driving range are done. We're now waiting for warm weather for the grass to grow. The putting course was seeded, the driving range was sodded, so the driving range will come back up quickly as soon as we get some warm nights. The putting course itself is going to take a while. It's been seeded and covered, so that probably won't be available for several months yet. The Performance Center, Golf Performance Center at Druid has been started. It started on the 18th, I think it was, and it'll take 220 days to finish, and so it's underway. We will post pictures of all these projects on the website if you want to go look and see the progress. As far as the building and the clubhouse and the surrounding area, the steering committee, the Druid steering committee, the Druid F&B committee, and Druid Golf committee continue to work with the architect, Vic Jones, on drawings and renderings. We still hope to hold a town hall meeting in April to present all that to the community. Robin Hood Park, we started that project on the 14th. If you went by there, you've seen we removed the bad soil. There wasn't good compaction soil for the project, and have brought in soil. And in fact, tomorrow or Friday, we will test that soil to ensure that it's compacted correctly before we begin the project. And that project will probably be completed in the August timeframe.
Any questions? Tom? I let you off the hook last time. You got to state your name.
Tom Ratcliffe. Thank you. Bruce, all due respect, in the Druid Hills project, it's been kind of out there in some places. And you mentioned a town hall meeting. So with that town hall meeting, will you give us a definitive timeline on the whole project?
Yes, sir.
Not just the golf?
Yes, sir.
Food and beverage.
The project is actually 3 phases, Tom. It's the performance of the putting course and the driving range, and that's done. The second phase is the performance center. It's started and will finish in the October timeframe. When we do the town hall, I will have a timeline showing you what goes on when and when we'll get that done.
And any projected budgets at the same time?
Absolutely. We will be talking about the cost of that project as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Ken?
Okay, we continue to work with AEI out of Cookville. They're the architectural design firm that we've worked with a number of times on other buildings here in the Glade. They have already received the site survey report that included the topographical survey report. Those have been shared with AEI, and at this point, they've been working on positioning options or orientation options for the initial drafts of the building. And then once the orientation has been determined, we'll bring in folks to do the soil borings to determine if construction on the site is feasible. And we would expect that we would see the architectural and engineering drawings sometime in the late April, May timeframe.
Any questions on the EMS project? Okay. Member comments?
My name is Karen Brown. I have a couple separate things. One of them is Tawny Oak Loop Sewer. One of them is not related to that. I have some concerns because I don't know if any of you read the Vista and have been looking at comments coming out from the public. It just seems like there's a lot of animosity between the perception of what's going on with the board, the ACC, the planning. And I'm so glad Mary Jo's here because that speaks to marketing. All the marketing in the world, if there is a bad sentiment out there between the board, the existing community, that becomes public knowledge. And people that might want to come here, they do look at all of that. So I don't know if this board, or if you have ever considered bringing in the community to have like a workshop or bringing us in on decisions and input, because I'm so concerned that this is going to knock our home values down. People, you're doing everything to get people here. The amenities are amazing. Look, my husband and I, we came here one time, we were sold. It wasn't an issue, but things have started to take a different turn now, and I keep seeing it in the Vista. It doesn't matter who wrote the article, it's not me, but it's not just one article, it's several lately. So I just don't know if the board will ever address that. I just feel that as a community that's already here, we are not brought in on things like I feel we should have, and the input is a big impact. It's to me, just having us involved is a do-all thing. I mean, we can't not be involved. So I just hope you're looking at that. I don't know if you read the articles. I have the one that really stood out to me and concerned me, because obviously if people don't want to come because they see this, and I will add that when we bought our home, which was built a little over 3 years ago, we were never given anything or any direction about the CC&Rs, not a thing.
Well,
So disenchanted I am at this point.
all right,
We
well,
still love it, but.
let's address some of that, okay?
Yes,
Because we do read the Vista, or at least I do, I'll say
Yeah,
that much, okay?
I'm sure you do.
I sometimes wait with bated breath for it to show up on
Well,
Tuesdays.
yeah,
But
I
the
bet.
fact of the matter is, let's deal with a few facts. Most people that build homes don't get involved, quote unquote, in the size of the homes. Because when you work with the builder has to apply for a
Right.
construction permit. So as long as the home meets the minimum standards, there's not a question. With the ACC, this is a 14-page document of every lot that exists in Fairfield Glade, with the minimum square feet that you can build on there. So the one that was the two that were talked about in the Vista, one that was supposedly an 800 square foot home, you can go down, you can walk through that home, it's 1,450 square feet. It's not 800.
I'm not
No,
concerned
no,
about
I
the home
understand.
size. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the whole messaging
Well,
that's
I'm going to
going
get to
on.
that, I'm going to get to that in a
Okay.
second. The second piece is that the other home that was talked about there, the minimum in that particular area, it's in Druid Hills, block 1, lot number 79, the minimum build there is 800 square feet. I went down, several of us did, and walked through that home. It's built at about 900 square feet, so they fit over the minimum. Now, these minimums were set years and years ago. Matter of fact, you could actually see them in here for Wilshire, which is nothing more than really trailers. There's a minimum of 720 square feet for a trailer over there. And you can go up, and there's some like other areas that go up all the way up to a minimum of 2,000. Also, if you look at the documents, you're required to stay under 2.5 stories in any build that you do here. So you can't go up 3, 4, 5, 6 stories. That's not allowed. So one of the things that gets, and I'm just being as transparent as I can to you, okay? We don't normally, and we probably never will, respond to letters of the editor in the Vista or comments on Nextdoor or places like that, because those are opinions. And sometimes the opinions don't match up with the facts. And I'm sorry that people put things in that may not be factual. I don't think they do it on purpose. I think they've heard it from somebody, or they divine it somehow. But the fact of the matter is that we do want community involvement. That's why we have community committees. And I encourage everyone sitting out there and everybody watching at home on TV to get involved. If you want to get involved, that's where the ACCs are, that's where the different committees are. Certainly, you're more than welcome to come here and share your thoughts. That's what we have these meetings for. But too many people, and I'm going to say this, and I know it's a blanket statement, but I'll put it this way. Too many people don't do the homework, but yet want to make the comment, and they don't want to get involved on the committees because, in quote unquote, it takes too much time. We go through this every year trying to get people to serve on the committees. And every year we get people that we just have a hard time filling them. Now, we're willing to change the structures, we're willing to change the missions, we're willing to change the charters, we're willing to do all of that. But it takes each one of you to get involved. We can't go out and force you to do something, okay? And we won't. So your comments around, involvement and being involved, amen. Now, as Mary Jo pointed out in some of hers, we got to do some more education. Most people don't understand how the financials, for instance, work here. That's on us, and it's up to us to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to learn that. But take the opportunities when they come, too. So your comments about the Vista in this particular case, I understand them. I read Nextdoor, but you'll never see me post anything on Nextdoor.
Me as well. I read it and shut my
Because
mouth.
it's not necessarily all factual, and there's no real good opportunity to get in a word
but it's
war
out there.
on
That's my
Nextdoor or letters to the editor. And letters to the editor, and give Vista the credit, those are opinion pieces.
Right.
They're
We
not
get that.
news. But a lot of people read them, and they don't discern between what's news and what's opinion.
And that's my concern. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, whether it has backing or not, you're entitled to say it. I get it. I just have noticed this a lot, and it just shook me to the core, thinking that, despite all this great marketing, and there are so many great things about living here, stuff is, I just think there could be a better relationship. I know, I'm here. This is my second time coming, obviously, because I was brought here because of the Tawny Oak Loop Sewer Project. And it's eye-opening, and I'm so glad that we get this opportunity. It's super important. So I'll put that to bed for now. I just didn't know if you were aware what was out there. Mary Jo did, if she's investigating all this other stuff that's being said, and whether it's factual or not, it's still out there. So back to Tawny Oak Loop Sewer. I know, sore subject.
Just before you continue, I just wanted to add one point to
Sure.
that, what your comment was. And I would really want you to consider yourselves lucky, because I deal with several clubs around the country. And in most private clubs, as you know, or community, the residents do not get a voice at the board meeting. The board meetings are usually closed, and just the other part of that is, in large scales community around the country, this conversation is going on at every club. Every community, every homeowners association, the same, because now we have social media where people are allowed to post opinions without fact.
Yeah.
That's how rumors get started. It's in my own community. I see it every morning. We have a Facebook group which people post God knows what on.
Yeah, I'm just a voyeur. I don't ever post, even on Facebook. I just don't like it. I did it to track my
Right, but
children.
I just want you to know, this is not,
I understand,
this
and
is
we
not
do-
just this community.
Yeah,
It's
and we
happening
appreciate
around the
that.
country.
I just think sometimes it feels as if we're not heard. We can voice our opinion, but I think we would like to feel more empowered to be heard and have input that might be influential, or maybe not, but it's just the act of being able to do it. It could be a feel-good thing on my part, but I think it's super important.
Well, let me be clear about that statement. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We encourage you to come to these meetings. We encourage you to state your opinion. Now, the board will consider those opinions, and they always do. I will tell you that. That may not mean you get the answer that you wanted, but I will tell you that those opinions are considered, and there's a piece, if you take a look at our executive session, every month, it's in there, it's called follow-up items
Yeah.
from board follow-up items. That's what comes out of this meeting, it's what comes out of the board meetings, it's what comes out of other interactions we have with the community, sometimes it comes out of our committees. So we're very open to hearing that, and I, for one, will tell you that I would like to see all three of these rooms filled with people that want to raise what they think are their concerns, so we hear them. And to Jonathan's point, I mean, I've been and lived in other communities that that was nowhere close to the case. So I'm not saying we're doing a great job. We'll get better, and only through interactions with the community will we get that way.
It's a communication thing. I mean,
Yeah.
without communication, there's no understanding. You just can't. So appreciate that. I want to go back to the Tawny Oak Loop thing. I know this is probably a moot point at this.
Yep.
But Mr. Betts has done a lot of research. We're trying to find a middle ground. I believe there's always a middle ground to be had. It just needs to be sought out. He's presented a couple proposals that seemed like a middle ground that give those of us that do not want the sewer coming down our street, that have brand-new septic systems, like me, 3-year-old house, very expensive septic, had to buy the additional lot, you know all that. But I have some grave concerns about trenching under the road with, there's many houses that have the septic lines going under the road, and maybe, Bruce, worst case, I'd like to see a full schematic, a full timeline. I want to be present when they're trenching under my road where my septic lines go, if this is going to come to fruition. I just don't have any faith. If something were to happen to our septic lines, that's catastrophic for us.
Well, it's a problem for everybody. But,
That's right.
I'm going to say two things. I'm going to turn over to Bruce here to maybe address the construction piece. The board has considered the proposals that
I understand. I
came
got
there.
your letter.
But here's the other piece of that. What you don't know is that we've had at least 2 residents say, don't listen to those people. We want the sewer, and we want it now. We have one other person that we know of there whose septic tank has failed.
But being fixed.
It's failed right now.
Understandable, but-
So part of the thing is that, you know, not everyone, and I want to be careful here because I don't want to leave the wrong impression either. Just because a group from a neighborhood comes in, they don't represent all the opinions of that group, because we're hearing other things. And that's not to say that those sway us one way or the other. We do consider them, but as we sent a letter to every person on Tawny Oak last week, we outlined the reasons, the criteria we used,
understand.
why we made the decisions we did. And so for us right now, it's that we're doing what we think's best for the community. And I get the
But
fact
not
that
best for
individuals may
several
not
of
like
us,
it.
And we are part of the community.
I understand
And
that.
I understand, everybody's got their thing, I understand what you're saying, but we're here to voice our opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Hopefully it would have impact. Doug did a lot of work on trying to find a resolution. The center of we're all, I think, the crux of where you want to run it, nobody there wants sewer. We don't intend on hooking up, obviously. We're just not going to.
That's not a true statement. There are people that have told us they would hook up.
Not dead in the middle. Okay, I get that, and I know who you're talking about. So that's fine. But Bruce, on the other side of this, I would like to at least be able to see a schematic of how they're gonna dig, where it's gonna go, how are they gonna avoid our septic lines, which I'm not an engineer, I have no idea how that was all constructed. A timeline, how you expect us to pay for this, we were not given adequate notice. You know that, you've admitted that. So I just want some answers, and comes to the transparency. Let's get back on that. If this is being forced down our throat, that's fine. I feel that way. I'm entitled to my opinion about that, but we have, worked hard at this because the majority of us do not want it. So maybe there's one or two, but that's not the majority, and I get it. It's about the bottom line, but it's not to my good or to any of the people. So
Okay.
I've said my piece on that, but if somebody could at least respond to us with timeline, schematic, how we were expected to pay for this, I mean, that's the least you could do.
Bruce, you want to at least talk away a little bit about the construction and the timeline with that?
So the plans have been finalized and sent to TDEC for approval. When those plans, or when that approval is received, I will present a car to the board for construction. Once approval of that car, we will start. We'll start on St. George, right where the sewer ends now, and we will open trench cut all the way up to Tawny Oak Loop. We'll take a right-hand turn on Tawny Oak Loop, installing the water of the sewer on the opposite side of the water. We will go around the driveway aprons. There will be no disturbance of your driveways at all. We will encounter your leach field lines, and we will go by them. We will install the sewer under them. There will not be any disturbance to your
How do you know where they are? I guess that's my thing.
Well,
They're not
we
picked up on
have-
sonar or anything
Yeah,
like
no,
that?
we don't have sonar. We use witching sticks, believe it or not, and we're pretty darn good with them. There's so much rock on the plateau, there is no signal that we can use to find buried lines. And we dig in buried lines every day. And so we use witching sticks and we find them, and we're very careful. One person digging, one person with eyes on the excavation going on. So if we happen to hit your line, we'll repair it in short order.
Well, short order, I mean, that's our main
Short order
crux
is,
of,
short order is 5 minutes. Your line will be repaired. There will be no interruption to your service at all, zero. So.
well, or the integrity of our system as a whole, because
there
that's a
will be-
big deal.
The integrity of the system won't be jeopardized one bit.
Do you go on our property, or is this down the
No,
road?
we go on the side of the road. So each road in Fairfield has a utility easement on both sides of the road. We will stay just off the hard surface road. We
So
do
you'll
not
be in our trench,
No, it'll be between the ditch and the road.
okay, so it won't be in the ditch, because we have sprinkler
No,
system,
no,
we have
we
all
will
kinds
not.
of
We
stuff
will
going
not
on.
install it in the ditch. It'll be between the ditch and the road,
Okay,
in the utility easement, and we will put it back the way that we found it. It will be, if it's currently grass, we will seed and straw. If it's gravel, we will put back gravel. If it's stones, some people have ornamental stones, river rock, we put it back the way that we found it. You won't know that we've come through.
And I think, Bruce, you've done this once or twice.
We've done it a few times, yes. So-
right, but when it concerns my home.
I understand.
It's
I understand your
specific to me
concerns.
and what we just
you-
spent.
There's no need to be concerned about
Well-
your leach field line, because there won't be an issue at all.
Yeah,
Irrigation is very difficult to identify where it is. And if we get into irrigation lines, some people bring the irrigation right to the edge of the pavement. As soon as we go through, we go back and repair the
Yeah, I don't
irrigation line.
think that's, I don't know.
But
I'd
some
have to go home
irrigation
and look.
lines go right to the hard surface
Yeah, I
road
don't-
in the easement. And if we get into those, we go right back and repair them.
I'll have to look when I
So,
get home, I'm not sure.
that's what we
on that.
do.
So let me go back to how we're supposed to pay for this. What's the timeline? I mean, this is a big expense out of the blue, literally.
No, all these projects are pre-planned. I mean, we have a schedule that we have.
But we weren't notified. We'd get a letter in February saying, this is your bill. We didn't know this project was coming, nothing.
Well,
Well, let's be honest with that, okay? You did not get the first letter, which would have gone out about 3 weeks ahead of where you got notice.
Well-
So I understand, we didn't send the first letter, we apologize for that. That was our mess up because we were changing finance directors and it got dropped. But it's not like you would have gotten 6 more months' notice, you would have gotten 3. And we do that purposely because we don't want to have people coming in, buying up lots and that type of thing, because they know a sewer's coming in and you don't.
I don't believe the first letter was an invoice. It said that the project
Right.
is
And there was a
being
dollar
planned.
amount associated with this, with no
Exactly.
description, no
Yes.
calculations, so.
Well, so once construction starts, you'll receive, before construction starts, after the CAR is presented for construction, you'll get a final letter saying that construction is gonna be beginning, and it will be an invoice at that point.
Well, and we should be given consideration for time. It's a large amount of money for most of us that are just trying to get by. So I think some consideration should be in the allotment of time to pay that. I have it here. So, anyway, I will relinquish my chair to whoever else. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it, but I would like to see a schematic and a timeline. When are they gonna be at my house? When are they gonna be on my road? Because I wanna be there. We have a dog, we have other things going on. I just,
Sure.
you know,
That's
protection
nearly
of property.
impossible, that's nearly impossible to calculate, because we have no idea what we're gonna encounter under the ground.
well, you could come close.
Sure,
Here's a
sure.
two-week window. I don't know.
Once we start construction, then.
But just be transparent, send out letters, send
Sure.
out lots of them, because I'm all about communication.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay?
Ted Landers, one quick question. You've used the
Can you
phrase,
speak into the mic, Ted?
I'm sorry, Ted Landers. You've used the CAR. What does CAR stand for?
Capital
Authorization request, that's what they are.
Thank you. I just didn't understand what it meant.
Sure. What it previously was a PR, Ted.
Purchase request.
Purchase request, yes, sir.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay?
Tom Ratcliffe. So last meeting, first of all, I had asked for an update on the board member committee assignments and responsibilities. I want to thank the board and Pat, I believe, all of the, on the website, it looks like all the committees are up to date as far as who's assigned to what. So I appreciate that. And I'd encourage people in the audience, if you got questions, specific areas, go on the website, look it up, find out the board person in charge, if you got questions, and contact them. You know, the ACC, for example, that's Greg, you know, so that'd be number one. There's no responsibilities outside of that anyplace, but we have a step in the right direction.
Well, I'm going to stop you there just for a second, because I want to be clear what you understand when you see a board member's role on the committee. It's a liaison role. We do not have a vote. We do not chair. We do not set the agendas. We do not direct the discussion. That's all done by the committee chairmen and the committees. So if you really want to find out what's going on with the committee, you can talk to the board member, but the first place I would go, be honest with you, is the committee chair.
Good point.
Okay? Go on.
Good point, thank you. Along those lines, though, and a question, and Scott, this goes to you. It's not on the agenda anyplace, but you're the liaison with the Strategic Planning Committee.
I am.
It has been forever, in my opinion, since that project started. I mean, it was over a year ago, I think, that a group of us actually sat down and gave input, as focus group or whatever it was. So Scott, I'm looking for a very specific timeline, where we're at today, what that timeline is gonna look like in terms of when we members are gonna get a look at this strategic plan.
Yeah, Greg and I met and talked with the committee chair yesterday, and I agree, Tom, it's been way too long. There was a tremendous amount of information that was presented through all the collection with our consultant in PCA. And quite honestly, a lot of it had to do with short-term and not just long-term. So what we're doing is when we do present, we'll actually have two plans, the strategic plan and the operational input on governance and management and various other short-term aspects. And so what we're working with the committee now is to pull out those long-term strategic ideas and being able to paint a picture. What we want to ultimately get to is what do we look like in 2024? what do we anticipate based on the trends and the data that's been collected look like in 2034? And what are those strategic items that in the 5 to 10 year timeframe that we want? The volume of data and the number of short-term things is really caused an elongation of the timeline. And I understand that. And I know there's a great demand to see what we have. But we want to make sure that we have both the long-term and the short-term that we're presenting. So that given in the time frame, we know it's been a long time. We want to be able to get in front of the community and present this within the next 45 to 60 days. That's absolutely, even if it's not the complete finalized picture, we need to show you what we have to date and where we're heading with this. And because remember, the strategic plan is not a one and done. This committee is going to continue to take input from the community, continue to look at the trends, continue to see what other communities of our type are doing, and continue to provide input into the board so that we can continue to grow that plan. Another key aspect is we want to be able to get this structured so that this board is using that. I don't know how involved you've been in strategic plans in your prior careers, but there's a tendencies from large corporations and companies that develop a strategic plan, you set it on the shelf. We don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that we have it solid and that we incorporate it into the decision-making process and that the community understands that the vision that we're heading towards with that strategic plan. So sifting through all the data and being able to take out the operational aspects, because there were a lot of ideas about community education, how to structure the governance of the board, the structure of the management, infrastructure, and various other things that were near term. And we want to show that because that came from the input from the community. But we also want to make sure that we are truly focused on the 5 to 10 year plan and that we have that accurately painted picture, because that's the first thing, is you can put something on a strategic plan, but the question you're going to ask, Tom, I know, is why, all right? And the why is what do we look like in 2034? What's this community look like? I haven't been here since 2014, but what did it look like in 2014? And then what does it look like today? And being able to paint that picture so that the things that we have on that strategic plan align to what that future of the community is going to look like.
Scott, that's very helpful, and in fact, the reason for the push on my part is a lot of what we're hearing in the community, to my knowledge, and again, you're closer to the committee, there was the communication plan that was being worked on, as an example,
Right.
because that was
Right.
critical,
Right.
and yet we haven't had much communication,
I agree.
specific. And then the second part of that was, you hit it on the head, operations, governance, and everything else came out in that study, a lot of feedback.
Right.
And a lot of what's going on right now, as the lady mentioned, discontentment, I'll just call it that, or things that are out there, education levels and so forth.
Yeah.
That's what's out there.
So there was a ton of great ideas, and we've talked about transparency as a board, community education, all those things. So there's so many ideas out there that are for the betterment of how we operate the community and where the community is going. The other element that we're trying to get our hands around that we're thinking about is the resources to be able to do it all. So there's going to be a prioritization. There's just so many opportunities, from community education to the transparency, the communication, the temper. All those ideas come forward from the input from that strategic plan, both short-term and long-term. And that's so there's actually 2 plans that are being worked on.
Okay, I just leave it, and thank you, it's extremely helpful. I just leave it with, you've got those big things, as you just mentioned, and how that plan is being incorporated. Couple that with, then you go with the reserve study, which is huge, and that education process.
Yeah, we've got the reserve study, we've got, as Bruce talked about, the Druid Hills Clubhouse. There's a lot of things that we need to put in front of you, and how do we coordinate that and put that all together.
But it's also you guys handling all this, so it kind of goes back to the original, question where I was going, is responsibilities and so forth,
Yep.
It's going to, in my opinion, it's going to take 7 people on this board, all pulling in the same direction and working really hard with us, all 7, to take and accomplish this.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got to be involved.
A lot of opportunity.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was wondering when you were going to get up.
My name is Ted Landers. I'm very, very passionate about the trees. I was on the subcommittee for the tree policy, and I'm concerned about the way things are going, and I've got a few slides to show you here. So this is about enforcement. This is not about what we need to do to change the tree policy itself. I'm sorry. Is that better? Yes. I apologize. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Ted Landers, tree enforcement concerns, not about tree policy. So last year we did the strategic plan survey. There were 22 options on why people bought here. The number one reason was financial stability. Number two is natural beauty and wilderness areas. If you look at number 6 on that screen over there to the left, the thing, 97% buy-in as to natural beauty and wilderness areas was a reason to buy here. The tree policy has a purpose statement. As far as I'm aware, it's the only policy that has a purpose statement, just because it's so important. Trees are a prime asset. Trees contribute to the tranquil quality of life, health of our environment. They protect and promote management of our trees is what this policy does. The previous tree policy, which was in 2019, only 5 years ago, clear cutting was only permitted in the building area, which was the footprint of the house, 8 feet around the house and 5 feet around the driveways, walls, sidewalks, and patios. That was very restrictive. I can't imagine that builders could actually build that, and I don't know how well that was enforced. I didn't live here at the time, so I can't tell you, but you can see it was overly restrictive, and it caused the preservation of tons of our trees. The current tree policy says every effort must be made to keep the maximum number of existing trees with a diameter of 6 inches or greater. Everything here in Fairfield Glade is measured at 5 feet above ground level, so I'm not going to repeat that all day long, but it's 6 inches or greater at 5 feet. There are tons of trees that are that way. The core value, as I mentioned, number 6 is 97% buy-in by our things, which is to manage our natural environment by promoting and protecting our forest ecosystem, undeveloped, and common areas. My policy enforcement concerns are builders are taking advantage of the lack of ACO oversight. Replacement trees are generally undersized and do not meet policy requirements. Every effort to keep existing 6-inch or larger trees has resulted in no effort, in my opinion. Owner trees, as well as trees on adjacent properties, are dying due to damage to the root balls. Homes with no trees in the front zone. I'm just going to click through these. These all are there. I've got a list of them for the board that I will provide them with these numbers. Homes with only 1 tree in the front zone, and most of these do not meet minimum size requirements. A minimum size requirement for replacement of a tree by a builder is 2 inches at 5 feet above ground. Could you hand me, Chris? There's a board back there against that back wall. Can you hand that to me, please? So here again, I'm just going to, this is 1 tree. It does meet requirements, but there's only 1 tree there. This is a tree that does not meet requirements. I went around and took pictures. I have a board. It is 5 foot tall. It has a 2-inch by 2-inch orange square on it. This is what you're seeing in all the pictures. The tree must have the trunk this wide at this orange spot, and I want you to see what is happening here. So there's a small little stick that is underneath the flag there, obviously not meeting requirements. This tree doesn't meet requirements. It's barely 5 feet tall. It's maybe 6, but again, not at 2 inches there. That tree does not meet requirements. This tree, I couldn't even stack this against it because there was nothing to support it. It was falling over. This is Oak Leaf Circle. This, to me, is, I'm so concerned about this. This all, well, you can see the trees on either side in the backyards of this unit here, and they have all been clear cut. There's almost no mature trees left there, and the trees have been replanted. You can't even see them. I'm just, This is the future of Fairfield Glade if we don't start enforcing the tree policy and mandating the capture or the remaining of 6-inch or larger trees. The following pictures document what I consider to be excessive cutting. This is 134 Chestnut Ridge. You can see that there's 4 trees along the edge. I think some of those are on this person's property, some are on the neighbor's property, but you can see that, I mean, that it's just been clear cut pretty much. I'm sure there's some trees at the back as well, but there should be, on a lot this size, there should be 15 trees. There is a calculation come up with the exact number. I can't tell you what that number is, but generally on a lot this size, there should be 15 mature trees on it. This is across the street. This is actually 2 pictures blended together because I didn't get the drone high enough to get the picture. But there's 1 tree in the lower right. There's a few at the very top of the picture. You can kind of see where the green grass is on the neighbors either side, but I don't think there's enough trees to meet the minimum number requirement for that area. This is 118 St. George. St. George, this is right as you go into the marina. And again, you can see that it has been widely cut out, cleared. This was one that has been addressed. This was an owner who absolutely clear-cut everything on the thing. There was no bush, no shrub, no grass, completely clear-cut it. This is 315 Beechwood, and you can see that this area also is wide open. It looks like there's no attempt to save mature trees that were on there. This is the corner of Ashford and St. George. Again, just basically wholesale cutting out of the trees, no attempt to save it. This is Pomeroy Drive and Pomeroy Court. This is 2 lots. They're both 50 by 75, so that's 50 by 150 feet. There is a septic system that is on the back side of that house, but there is almost no trees on this lot. There's nothing on the front, there's nothing on the side along the street. I don't understand how this could be cut and cleared like this. The only way trees can be removed is if the ACO approves it. Westchester and Hawks. Now, I've talked about a tree protection zone and the need for it. I want you to see these trees here are labeled with the yellow tape, meaning they are to be saved. And if you take a look at them, you'll see that there's no kind of a tree protection barrier. They have put building materials right up against the trees. They've got a dirt pile up there on the one on the right. On the left, you can see they've got a couple pallets up against that tree. That is not sufficient to protect the root ball. I guarantee you that in 2 years' time, all 4 of those trees will be dead. Hold on. This is 146 Malvern. This was 2 years post-construction. That tree is dead and it has to be removed. This is 697 St. George, which is right off of Westchester. They had 2 trees, you can see them on the right, that died. One of them was 26 inches at the ground, so it was probably 22, 24 inches up. And you can see that it was not, the root balls were not protected. Again, the trees have died. The owner had to pay $1,500 to remove it, and then he paid much more in order to do it. When they went back in, they built up a big area of dirt because they were concerned they wouldn't be able to get the tree going. He did buy a tree that was 3 inches in diameter to replace it. This is a dirt pile compressing the root balls on saved trees. You can see they're right up against there. Again, those are all identified as saved trees by the ribbons. That's not good. This is Beechwood. You can see how much they cleared around that house. Again, where's the effort to save mature existing trees? I don't see it. And then even though they had all of this area that was open to be able to do it, they pushed the dirt up against the saved trees that were on the right. Sorry. This one really bothers me. That, if you look in the upper left corner, you'll see that is a beautiful mature tree that is on the adjacent property. That tree is 22 inches at 5 feet. They have gone ahead and dumped a pile of stone 9 feet from the base of that tree, as well as in front of that pile, you'll see the dirt has all been scraped by front end loader or whatever, and that is damaging the root of the structure there. When this tree dies in 2 years because the root ball has been damaged, I want to know who's going to pay for the removal of that tree. Is it going to be the owner who caused the damage, or is it going to be the adjacent owner who owns the property had nothing to do with causing its demise? This is Westchester. Root balls are exposed on saved trees, the picture on the left. There are 2 trees, they are actually marked to be saved, and they have been pushed by a bulldozer, and the roots are actually exposed. Those trees are guaranteed to be dead. They'll never make it to the construction of the house. And on the right, that's the other side, and they push dirt up against them as well. This is 10 Cremont. Again, every effort has been made to save mature trees. There are 5 trees there. You can see 4 of them. One is kind of hidden behind the other. You can see they're all marked with the ribbons. I wrote to Sam McAdoo about this, wondering why these were marked and hoping that he would not approve their removal. He said that he had approved the removal. I asked him why. I didn't get a response back, but this is what it now looks like. I am aghast that this is allowed to occur here. This is what it looked like. That's what it looks like. I can tell you what occurred here. This was a new owner. The new owners, because I talked to the husband, the new owner's wife said she didn't like the trees and wanted them removed. And Sam said, okay. And now they're gone. And I think this is terrible. This is a crime. So in summary, current tree policy has been in effect since 2019, but only recently has clear cutting become the norm. I would really like to know why that's the case. The policy is not being enforced regarding every effort must be made to save existing 6-inch trees. As seen in these pictures, the lack of ACO enforcement has resulted in clear cutting most of the trees in the front and side zones and saving only the minimum required number of trees in the back of the lot. I would like to know why the ACO is approving trees not meeting minimum tree policy requirements at final inspection. All of those that I had this up against and did there. I can tell you I have a list here. I will pass it out. I also have a copy of this presentation for the board. There are 35 homes here that the trees do not meet specifications. This is just a small sampling throughout the association. And one of them, the cottages, which was the aerial view, almost none of those have trees that meet minimum requirements. Many of these people would live there, some of them for 3 years, many of them for 2 years. So these are past final inspection. I don't understand this. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Just so everyone's aware, and I'm just going to speak to the tree policy right now, is we did pull that from the agenda at the request of the ACC. The ACC is looking at that. We got a number of comments, as you can probably guess, and so we will reschedule when that's going to come before us again after the ACC has looked at those comments and made whatever changes they think are necessary to the tree policy. So that's where we are with that. Okay? All right. Anyone else?
I wasn't really going to speak.
Up. Make sure you state your name. Yeah.
My name is Ann Massari, and in regard to the trees, I'm so glad you're so passionate about it. I moved here, love the wooded area. I don't want this to look like Chicago. I don't want this to look like every other community where there's no trees. I was on a hike on a Tuesday, and there's all these trees marked, and we were informed, because it's number 6, preserving trails. We have to move a trail because you're going to cut out a swatch of trees, an entire forest, for for further development. And I thought, where is this green space that we're saving? And we have a trail that was built a couple years ago, and now it's going to be on private land, so you guys can cut out an entire forest section. And there's all this other land that's already been cleared, and these green space areas, which are like going to be cul-de-sacs. Why are we not developing them first before we start cutting out our forest? Just a comment. I came for the trails. I trail all the time, and now we have to move a trail to make way for a house or houses. And I'm so glad someone else is very passionate about this, because again, I think this is a disgrace that we're going to cut down all these trees and build and build and build and build, and we're going to lose what we came here for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Is it all right to use that mic?
Sure.
I'm a little worried.
As long as you're at a mic, we don't care. How's that?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Drager. My husband and I moved here back in 2013 from Illinois by way of Colorado, and we've been here all this time in this beautiful, lovely community. And first thing I want to say is thank you. To all of the people who serve on this board, and it can seem at times a thankless job, but as you can see from the community, when they have wonderful things to say about the development and all the things we're doing, we don't have any issues. We're very quiet. But every once in a while, a thorn gets stuck in your side. And so how do you address it? And Mr. Jones, you even said earlier, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to be able to talk to everybody. That's why I wanted to come up here. But Mr. Jones, you said earlier something about citizens getting involved, and they need to be part of this. And I absolutely agree. Shame on me. This is only my 3rd meeting that I've ever been to. My dear friend Bruce Horn, a couple years ago, decided to run for the board, and I went out and campaigned for him. I apologize every single day to him, because I know how much time and effort he is putting in. Are we still friends? Okay. But anyway, Ted had approached me because of my background in education at both the public school level and the university level about reviewing his slide presentation and some of his, the work that he was doing. And as I said, Mr. Jones, you had talked about, unfortunately, some citizens don't do their homework. Ted has done his homework. He opened my eyes. My husband and I bought a lot on the corner of Sneed and Southgate, and we rolled in the empty lot behind us. And when I look at that now, I think, the lot with the house used to look like the back of the house with all those trees. So the difference was really dramatic. So, and his pictures, he spent an awful lot of time going out and gathering that information and trying to assemble it. So I love the idea of us working together. I love the idea that community residents need to step forward, but they also need to know that they've been heard, that they've been listened to, and that their viewpoints are taken into consideration. Let me just say one final thing because of my education background. There's a favorite book that I used to read to my class called The Lorax. And from my perspective, this little Lorax was trying to save the heffalump trees. They were cutting them down at a fast rate because there was a profit in it. Finally, he could not get anybody's attention. He was a pain in the neck to everybody. So he went to his house and he locked himself in. And one day, a little boy in the community went to visit the Lorax. And he said, "What happened to the heffalump trees?" And the Lorax pulled out the last little seedling that he was hanging on to. And he dropped it down to the little boy. And he said, "If people like you don't care a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not." Thank you.
Anyone else?
This is probably going to be a little shorter than I had planned, but we've been
Please
talking-
identify yourself. So,
I'm sorry. My name is Doug Betts, and I live on Tawny Oak Loop. And I was here at the last meeting to talk about the sewer system. Is it not coming through?
I hear it.
I can hear you. You're fine.
I'm sorry. My question really is simple. Is anybody here interested in hearing about another proposal for Tawny Oak sewer extension? Anybody at all? You know, it really is a waste of time then to take up any more of you guys' valuable efforts that are going into this. So I thank you. Have a good day.
anyone else? Last chance. Okay. We'll move on to board member comments, or board member items. Bruce, I'm going to let you go first with the lots.
Okay. So far this year, we have sold 37 lots, and we've taken back 28. It seemed last year we actually sold 74 lots and took back 147. So we tend to take back more lots than we sell. But I'll point out that the majority of the lots we sold this year were off of our Fairfield Glade Community Club website. We did 5 with adjacent lot letters, and we did 3 with the MLS listing. So the majority of our lots being sold come off of our own list on our website.
You want to go through what the adjacent lot letter is so that
Yeah,
people
the adjacent
understand?
lot letter, periodically, we will send letters out to homeowners who have a lot next to them that we own. And we offer them to buy that lot, for green space, for the tree issues, Ted, all of that. So we will periodically send out letters to homeowners who have lots next door. And like I said, so far this year, we've sold 5 that way, but of the ones in 23, I don't have the number, but a pretty good percentage of those are from the lot letter that we send out.
And can you also go through about how we get them back?
Well, the way we get them back is people walk away. People will either, a lot of times, unfortunately, somebody has passed away and their heirs have no interest in the lot here, and they will call us and say, what do I do? And we'll take them back. Because if we don't take them back, what happens is that the assessments obviously aren't paid and the taxes aren't paid, and the county will end up taking that lot. And we prefer that we take it back and then it's available to sell with a clear title on it. When the county ends up taking it and they can't find the heirs, there's a whole title issue going on there that's very complicated. So a lot of those come back from a lot of them are from, like I said, folks who have passed away and the heirs don't want the lot anymore. And so it's called a voluntary lot take back. They'll call us and we'll just take the lot back.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a place we can go?
Yep, come on up here.
Karen Brown. So is there a place we can go to see those lots on the website? Or
Yeah, it's
some
on the-
Yeah, I
listing?
just pulled it up on the website.
It's on the Fairfield Glade website.
It is, okay,
Yes.
I'm just
If you go to the
curious
real
see.
estate section at the
Yeah.
bottom, it says FGCC lots available for sale.
Perfect,
And it gives
okay.
you a lot listing.
All right.
And you'll also see them for MLS too.
You can see them on the MLS, but I'd ask you to take a look at our website.
That's a marketing effort there.
Only because, no offense to our listing agents, but we don't have to pay a listing agent fee if you buy it straight from us. That's my old treasurer's job speaking there.
Okay. All right, I'll go through a couple things here. Wildwood Stables, we've had the first organizational meeting of the committee. They've elected their president, vice president, or chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. I think the next meeting is actually next week, right?
Correct.
And so they're getting on their way. We're going to have to probably do a little bit more speeding up in terms of that process, just because even though the end of the year sounds quite a ways away, it's not for this kind of planning effort and what we're going to do. So Bruce Horn and Sam McAdoo are very involved in that. You want to add anything?
Yeah, as Greg said, because of the time issue, the committees has decided to do 2 meetings per month. Most of our committees are 2 meetings, or a single meeting per month. And we're doing now the first and third Thursdays of every month at the library building. And those will be open to the public. We've been very fortunate because we've had good candidates, and we have 9 on the committee now that are working very hard to get some options and information to us. So if you're interested, stop by. They're at 10:30 in the morning at room C at the library.
Okay, and for those of you who don't know room C, that's the one below the library, so you can get there, okay? A couple other things to update you on: the general manager's position. We're very close to having that put to rest in terms of hiring someone. We're working with that individual right now and making sure that all the background checks, the drug testing, all of that comes back clean. And hopefully, fairly soon, we're going to have an announcement of who that's going to be. But I'm refraining from that until we make sure we've checked all the boxes and completed all the actions, so that when we say that we've hired someone, we've actually done that. So that should be happening here in the very near future. A couple other things I'd talk about here. And Mary Jo, you brought it up. I really appreciate the fact of what Mary Jo, Russ, and Jeff, you guys did in terms of setting up the meeting with the PGA of Tennessee. It was really an eye-opener for me. Many of you don't know that we used to jointly sponsor that with the city of Crossville. This year, we're sponsoring it just as Fairfield Glade. So what we're really trying to do is get more people involved. We want to see as many people out there as we possibly can. This is going to be a big event, and it's a big event for the participants. And there were a lot of good ideas talked around, and Dustin, I know you're going to be looped into this because of food and beverage, because our people do like food and beverage when they do these kinds of things. So I want you to really keep noticing about what's going on in that arena, because you're going to start hearing some things. There was a lot, like I said, a lot of ideas. We got some more things that we really have to get operational, but these are two big tournaments, and the PGA for Tennessee sees them that way, and now we're starting to market them a lot better because we're the ones that are sponsoring them. So get people out, have them come out. We're hoping for great weather, and we probably will have that, and it'll be a lot of fun. The other thing I wanted to talk just a second about, because it's coming up fairly soon, is the election committee. We met last week. Glenn was good enough to chair that for us, and we're kicking around a lot of ideas. One of the things I hope that we do this year that we maybe haven't done as well in the past is give a better idea of what makes up a good board member. And Ken's done some work on that. The committee has done some work on that. And what we're really trying to do is encourage people to get involved and run for the board, but they need to make sure they understand what we're looking for in terms of what constitutes a good member, at least, or a good board member, at least in the eyes of the board. Now, the community may see it differently, and that's okay. But we want to at least give you an expectation of what those things are, what you're going to be asked to do, what the time frames are, what the commitments are, and that type of thing. So we're trying to do that a lot more up front, so people, if they don't understand what it is, they have an opportunity to ask questions of current board members or committee members or whoever they feel like they want to. But I encourage you, we're going to have 2 open seats this year. There won't be anybody running against them because Ken and Bruce Cox, got to get that last name in, won't be able to run again because they've served their 2 terms. So we really want to get good quality candidates, and if you're interested, please, I encourage you to talk to any board member. I encourage you to talk to the election committee. I encourage you to talk to other people and see really what you're getting into and understand that, because I'm pretty doggone sure, just on base of what I heard as opposed to what I know, we will have an election. In the past couple of years, we haven't. Like when Scott and I just ran last year, there were only 2 candidates for 2 seats. It became pretty easy. We're hoping that we get more candidates than we have seats, and we make it pretty hard because we have good candidates. So please keep watching for that. The applications will be due towards the end of May, and you have to have them submitted by the first part of June. All the timelines will be published. We'll be getting that out next month probably. Not probably, we will get it out next month. But for those of you that might be considering it, please do consider it. Again, I encourage everyone to do what, you could help us out with one big thing, is both the strategic planning and the marketing efforts here, in that you travel, and you've got friends that live in communities like ours. We need to be looking at where we need to be, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. What are the things you're hearing from others? Because it's very easy to get isolated here in this community and say, well, we're a golf community, we're a pickleball community. Well, what's the next big thing? And the idea that, or the one that always comes back when we talk about it is, 6 years ago, I think it was, no, probably closer to 8 years ago, when pickleball came up in this community, there were a lot of people said, don't do that. We don't want to spend any money on it. You go over to that racket center right now and take a look at what pickleball has done. We need to know what the next big pickleball is going to be, because that's another thing that attracts residents here to come live with us. If they just see the old amenities and the old way of doing things, they're going to see that this community is not growing. It's just maintaining, or maybe even worse, going backwards. So each one of you have a responsibility, okay, I'll put it that way, to come forward with ideas. We want to hear them. And I really, truly appreciate everyone that spoke today. You know, a couple years ago, that wasn't happening. And even though you may think the board doesn't listen, I can guarantee you we do. And each one of you that got up and sat in that chair or came to that podium, thank you very much. We need to hear from you. And it doesn't mean that we're always going to vote the way you think that you personally spoke, but we need to hear the voice of the community, so I thank you. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Yeah.
I had a couple of questions
Yeah.
that I can answer. There are a couple of questions. It was on for a moment. I think it doesn't like me to speak. Now?
Yeah, it's on.
All right. There are a couple of questions from the balance sheet this morning. And I got a couple of answers that were asked of the questions this morning. There are more, but I got a couple of them down. On the balance sheet, we show long-term debt. When we said there wasn't any, well, it's slash leases. That's the leases for the GPSs on all of the golf carts.
And
So-
just to expand on that.
Go ahead.
Just so you know, there's been a change in the lease standard for accounting purposes. What leases, and I know this is accounting jargon, and I apologize for that in advance, but what leases used to be in the operating statement or the income statement side of it are now all required to be on the balance sheet. So, and classified as such. I apologize again for the jargon, but just a clarification on why that is.
That's why he's got the jargon. I just tell you the number. The other one was on, the question was on the sanitation truck. That's a standalone item, and the question was, what's going on with that? What's the number? That we accumulate funds for the sanitation truck, and that was the question. Why are we doing that? And because it was a standalone item, separate, that we accumulate funds every month for the sanitation truck, the new one.
All right.
That's it.
Anything else? I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor? Oh, wait, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Really do appreciate it.